if your supervisor can't do this, there shouldn't be one. Let me hit you something right away. If your supervisor can't do the basic job that they were put there in that position to do, they shouldn't be a supervisor. It's that simple. Now, before we go any further, if you've ever worked under a supervisor that made your job harder instead of easier, hit the like button, subscribe, and especially share this video. Because this right here, this is a conversation that needs to happen in a lot more shops. And stick with me to the end, because I'm going to tell you exactly what you should do if your leadership isn't meeting the standard. All right? Let's break this down the right way. The supervisor is not just a title, it's a responsibility. And too many places treat it like a promotion instead of what it actually is, a critical role that connects everything in a shop. A supervisor is a middleman between the front office and the production floor. That means communication goes both ways, not just top down, but bottom up. They're responsible for making sure the direction from upper management actually makes sense on the floor. And if it doesn't, it's their job to push that back and communicate it, not just blindly enforce it. Now, let's talk about safety, because that's non-negotiable. A supervisor is responsible for the safety on their shift, not HR, not just the safety department, the supervisor. It's something unsafe or something unsafe happens, then, and it's allowed to continue. That's a leadership failure issue, period. Now, production supervisors are responsible for hitting numbers set up by upper management. But here's where a lot of them get it wrong. They think it means pushing people harder. That's not leadership. Real leadership is understanding the process, removing obstacles, and putting people in positions to succeed. Not just yelling about numbers. Now, well, let's talk about something that gets overlooked. Respect. A supervisor sets the tone for the entire shift. How they talk to people, how they handle problems, that becomes the culture. If a supervisor lacks tact, if they talk down to people, if they create tension instead of solving it, they're actively damaging the team. And here's a big one. No favoritism. None. The second a supervisor starts treating people differently based on who they like or who they're comfortable with or anything outside of performance and behavior, they lose credibility. And once credibility is gone, leadership is gone. Now, let's talk about acknowledgement, because this is where a lot of supervisors completely miss. When things go right, when production hits, when quality is solid, when people step up, that needs to be recognized, not ignored. Because if the only time people hear from you is when something goes wrong, you're not leading, you're reacting. And people burn out under that kind of attitude. Now, discipline is part of the job too. And it has to be done right, consistent, fair, professional, not emotional, not selective. Because The moment discipline becomes inconsistent, the entire system falls apart. Now, here's the part that's going to hit some people. Everything I just listed, that's not advanced leadership. That's the baseline. That's the minimum standard for being a supervisor. And anything less than that is insufficient. And if someone is in that role and they're not meeting the standard, they don't need to be ignored. They need to be retrained. Which brings me to something that almost no shops do properly: supervisor training. In a real shop, supervisors should be going through retraining yearly in-house, reviewing the basics, resetting expectations, fixing bad habits. And then every couple of years, they should go outside of the shop, learning new approaches, seeing different leadership styles, expanding how they think. Because leadership is not something you learn once and you're done. It evolves or falls behind. And when supervisors fall behind, the entire shop feels it. Now, let me be very clear about something. If your shop has a high turnover, low morale, constant frustration on the floor, you don't have a worker problem. You have a leadership problem. And a lot of that comes down to supervision. Now, I told you at the beginning, I'd tell you what to do. So here it is. If you're an operator and you're watching this, and you know your leadership isn't meeting the standard, start asking questions. Start pushing for better, because you deserve to work in a place where leadership actually supports you. And if you're in a position where you can influence that, or you're in management and you're seeing these gaps, then it's time to address it, because ignoring it is costing you people, good people, experienced people, the ones you can't afford to lose. And I'll say this straight: if your shop knows there's a problem but doesn't know how to fix it, that's where I come in. I work with shops to identify these exact issues and build supervisors into actual leaders, not just titles. So if this sounds like your situation, bring this video to your management. Start the conversation. And if you're very serious about fixing it, have them reach out, because this is fixable, but only if it's taken seriously. And I want to hear from you. Does your supervisor meet this standard, or are they falling short? Drop it in the comments. And if this hits home, don't forget, like, subscribe, and share this video, because the more this message gets out, the more shops might actually start changing. And I'll see you in the next one.